Hey everybody, I want to do a quick and dirty summary of our last confirmation class. We were talking about the prophet Isaiah and how he says the Holy Spirit gives us 7 gifts: wisdom, understanding, fortitude or strength, piety or reverence, things like that. Things that maybe not everybody feels like they have in ample supply. So to do that, I've got a device of my own making right here. I've got this extension cord plugged into the wall and this lamp cable right here. And at the end of each one, I've got 2 metal nails held on oh so securely with black electrical tape. Now it's plugged in. You can't see the electricity, but it's in there. In our first confirmation class, we talked about how the Holy Spirit is a powerful but invisible force. You can't see the Spirit, but you can see how it affects other things. Much like the electricity in here, which you can't see, but you can see how it affects the nails when they come into contact. That's how you know that the power of electricity is in the nails. Now I'm going to unplug these. In the Catholic Church, we believe that when every person is baptized, the Holy Spirit puts in that person's spirit or soul those 7 gifts. But they might not be visible. They might not be fully activated until the Spirit comes back and starts to bring them out of the person again. So at baptism, the gifts come in. At confirmation, the gifts start to come back out. This is a pickle. Started out as a cucumber, soaked it in a jar with vinegar and pickling salt and a couple of secret spices, and now we have a delicious pickle. From the outside, you can see that it's changed a little bit. It's more wrinkly than a cucumber would be. The color has changed a little bit. You can tell that there's a difference, but we can make that difference stand out even more. I'm gonna take my pickle and put it right on top of this nice insulating glass jar. I'm gonna take one of these nails and stick it into the pickle like that. Take the other one, I'm gonna put it in on the other side. There we go. And now that I've got everything nice and securely in place, I can put the electricity in the pickle like that. If I did this exact same experiment with a cucumber from the garden, nothing would happen. I mean, the water inside the cucumber would heat up and it would start to steam out the end, but it wouldn't spark and glow the way a pickle does. It's not actually the pickle that's glowing anyway. It's the brine, that liquid that's soaked inside of it. See, the brine has salt, and sodium is ionic. So when you run an electric charge through it, there's gonna be a reaction and the sodium starts to flash and spark. It's not the pickle. It's what's in the pickle that lights up. Just like the pickle soaks in the brine and absorbs the salt. At baptism, we go into the holy water, and when we come back out, we've absorbed some of those gifts of the Spirit. They might not be very strong in us yet, but once they've become a part of us, like the cucumber has become a pickle, then we have the capacity to activate those gifts. It's very, very hard to do that on our own, which is why we go back to the Holy Spirit, the same Spirit that gave us the gifts to begin with, and we ask the Spirit to help bring them out of us again. We could be glowy pickles, but we need the Spirit's help to get there. And after that, going forward, we ask for the Spirit's help to make those gifts visible, to be wise when the world needs wisdom, to be strong when the world needs strength, to be pious or reverent to God when the world is becoming impious or irreverent, forgetting about God. That's what it means to activate the gifts of the Spirit. Not that we are always going to be the wisest person, but at those moments when God needs to put some wisdom into the world, when God needs to put some strength into his people, we will be ready to receive those gifts and to act with them. Here's another way to think about it. St. Paul writes that we have a diversity of gifts, a diversity of strengths, but all of them come from the same Spirit. Kind of like this. I've got these 4 cups right here in front of me. Now, they're not exactly the same, but they're somewhat similar. This is water with a little bit of baking powder. This right here is laundry bleach. Here we've got some cooking vinegar, and this is cleaning ammonia on the end. Imagine that this cup right here is the Holy Spirit. It's actually boiled cabbage juice, and I gotta tell you, it smells awful, but it's worth it for you. If I were to put a little bit of this cabbage juice here inside this cup, we get kind of a milky purple color, and a violet maybe. If I put it here inside the bleach, we get a very light yellow color. And I put it here inside the vinegar, we get a really nice magenta-y pink color. And if I pour it over here into the ammonia, I get a really dark green color. The same thing was added to each of the 4 cups, but it manifests, or it appears, in 4 very different ways. The same thing is true about our relationship with the Holy Spirit. We all come to the same faith. We all grow in relationship with the same God. We all lift up our hands and ask for the same Spirit to be poured into us and to activate our gifts in the sacrament of confirmation. But what starts to show how that relationship with the Spirit and how the gifts we receive appear is going to be very, very different. That's why we call this confirmation. Confirming that something good is inside of you and ready to be shared with the world. With the Lord's help, of course. We don't call it conformation. Conforming means that you change to try and fit in and be more like other people. That's the last thing that we need in your confirmation class. We don't want you to give up who you are, to give us less of the good things God has placed inside you. We want to celebrate the unique way that God made you and the unique gifts that he's put inside you. The rest of our classes together are going to be looking inward to try and figure out what exactly are the gifts that God put in you, specifically, individually, you. And what are the ways that you can use those gifts to help the church with its broader mission? Jesus Christ had 3 goals while he was on the earth. First, to find people that were suffering and help them in their situation. Second, to build up a church of followers that was going to help him with that mission to the sick and the poor and the suffering people in the world. And finally, to identify and train leaders who would make sure that the church never forgot its mission to find and address the suffering in the world. You have a role to play in that work. Somewhere in the world, right now, there is someone wishing that the world had a little bit more of whatever it is God put inside you. There is a need for your gifts. There is a need for those gifts to be shared. Our job in our remaining confirmation classes is to help you identify exactly what gifts God placed in you. And then to get a sense of the ways you might be able to use them in helping the church fulfill its mission. Because your church needs you. Your world needs you. Your God needs you. I get so excited thinking about all the good things that the Spirit is going to do through our class, through you young people. And I am so thankful that I get to be part of your journey to get there. So get ready. It's coming soon.